Hello, in this video I want to react to the video that explains why tensions in the Western Balkans are rising between Serbia and its neighbors. I'm not actually really convinced that that's happening, but okay, let's first see the video and then I'll.
Of Yugoslavia in the early 1990s, the region was engulfed in a series of devastating conflicts between the forces of the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia and the republics that declared independence from Belgrade. These included the Croatian War of Independence and the Bosnian War. Towards the end of the 90s, Serbia also fought a war with Albanian-majority Kosovo, which eventually officially declared its independence from Serbia in 2008, which Belgrade has refused to recognise. Since the wars, countries in the region sought to normalise ties and strengthen their security arrangements. For NATO members Albania, Croatia, Montenegro, North Macedonia and NATO-aspiring member Kosovo, the transatlantic military alliance became the central pillar of their security strategy. Serbia, however, took a more complicated path. Rather than fully aligning with the West, Serbia pursued a balancing strategy, maintaining relations with the EU and aspiring to EU membership, while also preserving strong ties with Russia and China. From around 2020, Serbia began investing heavily in modernising its military, upgrading equipment that largely dated back to the Yugoslav era. Serbia justified these investments as necessary to protect Serbian populations living in neighbouring states, particularly in Kosovo and Bosnia and Herzegovina. Other Western Balkan countries soon began increasing their own military spending as well, something analysts have occasionally described as the beginnings of a regional arms race. Serbia, for its part, recorded the most significant military build-up. Defence spending rose from $1.8 billion in 2023 to roughly $2.3 billion in 2024, representing over 2% of its GDP, and it has imported more major weapon systems than any other Western Balkan country in the past 5 years. Whilst regional NATO members imported their defence systems in line with NATO recommendations, Serbia procured its military hardware from all over the place, including surveillance tech from Israel, Rafale fighter jets from France, and defence systems from Russia and China. While Serbia's ties with Moscow and Beijing have long made European leaders uneasy, its military modernisation wasn't initially seen as that alarming.
Yeah, what's interesting is that Serbia is the only European country that actually buys weapons from China. But from what I know about geopolitics in the Balkans, Serbia is trying to be between East and West. Vucic here is imitating Tito in a way, but is much less successful. So yeah, on the one hand, Serbia is buying Chinese weapon systems and also systems from France and Israel. Serbia didn't sanction Russia, but at the same time, they are actually selling weapons to Ukraine. And Vucic also recently signed some concessions with some German companies about lithium and rare earth minerals. So in a way, Vucic has been able to satisfy all great powers. The only people that are not satisfied with him are kind of his own people, or at least the younger generations from what I've seen, and I even know some of them. But okay, let us continue.
Kosovo and Albania signed a trilateral defence cooperation declaration, which aims to increase military cooperation through joint exercises, defence procurement, and to further support the region's Euro-Atlantic integration. The agreement itself is especially important for Kosovo, which has struggled to advance its NATO integration, and its security situation deteriorated following the Banska attack in September 2023, when armed Serb militants carried out an attack in northern Kosovo that killed a Kosovar police officer. However, the joint declaration was greatly condemned by Serbia, with members of Vucic's ruling party describing it as an anti-Serb alliance. The Serbian Foreign Ministry criticised the alliance for being formed without consultation with Serbia, and said that their intentions were to isolate Serbia. On top of that, Vucic argued that it violated a 1996 sub-regional arms control agreement, as well as the UN Security Council resolution that put an end to the Kosovan War, according to which a NATO-led force can be the only armed force in Kosovo. Vucic thus argued that the new agreement effectively aims to create paramilitary structures in Kosovo. Croatia's Prime Minister Andrej Plenković repeatedly said the memorandum is not hostile in nature towards Serbia and disputed the claim by Serbia that it amounted to a military alliance. However, Croatia's defence minister was less sympathetic to Vučić's outburst, saying that the time when Croatia had to ask Belgrade what it was allowed to do and how it had to act are over. In response, Vučić soon signed his own military cooperation agreement with Hungary. Separatist leaders in Republika Srpska, the Serb-run entity within Bosnia and Herzegovina, also announced their intention to join. However, we should say that in practice, the agreement appears to be relatively limited, mainly consisting of specific military cooperation projects under a framework arrangement already signed in 2023. Then, last week, speaking on national television, Vučić claimed that Croatia, Albania and Kosovo were preparing to attack Serbia. According to him, these countries are waiting for an escalation of the conflict between Russia and Europe.
Okay, so let's just appreciate the absurdity of this claim for a moment. So, what would even be the goal of Croatia? So, the Croatian population in Serbia is around 40,000. There is around 6.5 million Serbs. So, you can't really justify any type of secessionist movement, nor does it exist. So yeah, I think that to most Serbs it's obvious that Vučić is just trying to distract from the protests. Also, elections are happening soon. But yeah, could you just imagine how catastrophically dumb it would be for Croatia to try this Russian blitzkrieg style attack? Like, imagine just Croatian tanks trying to reach Belgrade, like a city of over 1 million people, and then what would they do? They would just get slaughtered on the way there. You know, why? Why do it? Is the question. There is no territorial conflict. Both countries, Croatia and Serbia, recognize each other's territorial integrity at this point, so there is really no reason for a conflict. If there is going to be any conflict in the future, maybe Kosovo, because Kosovo is still seen by many countries as a part of Serbia, and it's still unresolved. The status of Kosovo, is it a country or not? But what I'm 100% sure is that I don't want to die in a war over Kosovo. Nor does Croatia have any obligation towards Kosovo to actually join any kind of potential future conflict between Serbia and Kosovo. Yeah, but that's the absurdity of the claim, is that there are literally zero reasons for Croatia to attack Serbia. But okay, let us continue.
Referencing the anti-corruption student protests which have engulfed Serbia in the last year and a half. At the same time, another controversy emerged earlier this month, after the former head of Serbia's intelligence service and a close ally of Vučić suggested adopting what he called a Mossad model to target Kosovo's prime minister, as well as...
Okay, let's just finish with this conclusion. So many historians have argued that after the end of the Cold War, war simply ceased to be profitable, that the economies of the world, of all powers, big and small, are too integrated, and that the money you will lose in having international sanctions is much greater than anything you would gain by war. That was the argument that many historians made. They believe that we will not experience any major wars in most of the world, in some regions of Africa maybe, and Asia, but yeah, now that argument seems not to work for great powers like Russia or the US or potentially China, that actually can afford to have their economy sanctioned. That's the thing. Russia is simply too powerful to be ruined by sanctions, as we have seen. But smaller countries like Croatia and Serbia would be completely ruined by international sanctions. If we go back to the 1990s, Serbia experienced hyperinflation due to international sanctions. And in 1994, you actually had a situation where prices would double every day in Serbia for a month. So, yeah, I do think that this argument still works for smaller countries. Smaller countries simply cannot afford really to have the international community sanction them, while big countries are actually too integrated in a way to have all the other countries abandon all trade with them. The world, as it turns out, simply needs Russian oil. But okay, this is all for today, and don't forget to like, share, and